Teofimo Lopez made a statement last week. Your
You talked about
prediction went right again.
that fight. Yeah, that was man. He was awesome. They need to give out a performance of the year award. I've been saying that ever since Julian Floyd heard. Not fighter of the year, but performance of the year. Bro, he was awesome. Awesome that night, man. He was awesome. I got so many hateful things in my inbox. Like, what you picking him for? He gonna lose. I said it on your show. People said so much stuff, and I'm just like, all right, well, we'll see. Predictions could be right or wrong, but I don't know why somebody would get mad at a prediction. You know what I mean? And like, I don't work with Teofimo Lopez. I don't make no money off of him. I've I don't even know his dad. I think I met the kid maybe once or twice in passing, like, hey, how you doing, my man? And shook his hand. Like, I don't have any,
Hi.
affiliation with his career. I just think he's a hell of a fighter, and that's just that. I think Josh Taylor's a hell of a fighter. I just saw what I saw, and but wow, that performance, man. I've been talking about it all week in camp and in the gym, man. I'm like, man, you see how that kid performed, man? He was so relaxed and so at home, and he just seized the moment. Oh man, that was just awesome. I'm just happy for him, man. I like to see people do good like that. Hopefully they don't, mess up the momentum this time because he really could be the face of boxing, and he capitalized on the momentum from the Lomachenko fight. He was like 22 years old. It was a big time win in the bubble, so everybody was watching. Nobody could go anywhere at that time. So, hopefully the kid learns from that and really, really catapults it because with in this era where you're only fighting, he only like 19, 18, 19 and 1. So he probably is gonna have 30 fights in his whole career. You gotta like really capitalize on the win. You know what I mean? Like that. So hopefully, everybody don't get a second chance. He got a second chance because this is just as big as win as the Lomachenko was. Josh Taylor was on a pound for pound list. He was the Ring Magazine lineal champ. He had all four belts. He just gave some of them up, but he had all four belts. That was a big time win, bro. I mean, Teofimo Lopez, like, if you really, I don't want to throw Hall of Fame terms around, but if he's not a Hall of Famer, he's one big win away from it at 25. There's
Yeah.
guys in this era, they be fighting till they 35 and they still never stepped up and had that kind of win. Like, that's
Seven-time
like,
champion.
is he a seven-time champion?
Yeah, because he had four belts in at 135.
Okay.
Or they said it was four-time champion, but then if you put the Ring magazine, that's five. So that's five there at 35, and then he had two this Saturday.
40. Okay. Okay. Well, see, I didn't even look at it like the seven-time champion. I just looked at it like he beat the man, the Ring Magazine lineal champion twice as an underdog. And both guys was top 10 pound for pound. I know Josh Taylor had to give up some of his belts, but look, I'm proud of that kid. That was big time. As a boxing purist, some of the shit he was doing, man, you don't just see. I mean, he was just awesome. I want some nice chicken on that fight too. He was a big underdog, man.
Me
That was
too, bro.
Man, when I see him, man, I'm gonna give him a hug, man. That was awesome, man. I was sitting there like, listen, I was so confident. I bet that he stopped him too. I
Oh,
lost him. That shit was almost like plus 500 that he
hell
stopped
yeah.
because he almost stopped him in the last round.
Mm-hmm.
I, he kind of just like start cruising though, like he didn't really go for it, but he showed everything and he showed a big time chin. That boy was hitting him with some nice shots, man. And Teofimo was eating him. He was hitting them late. He was hitting them low. He was hitting them behind his head. He reacted as a champion should. Special, special, special performance, man. You know, if his mind is right, bro, he hard to beat, bro. That's all. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna say no names. But if that boy mind is right, he gonna be hard to beat.
So we got guys with titles at that division. I mean, we got Rolly Romero, we got Subriel Matias from Puerto Rico that's holding the IBF. and then we got Regis Prograis is going to be fighting this week with the WBC. Um, where do you like? Obviously, this fight ranks him at number one in the division. Do you see him with the style that he has that could beat all those other guys?
Yeah, I do. I think uh Regis and I think Regis will probably be the toughest fight stylistic because Regis is like a little slick when he slides up on you. But the thing is, all of those guys is gonna come to Teofimo, and that's what he like. He's actually better if you come to him. As good as Teofimo is, he's not as good if he got to go get you. People don't really realize that. He would rather you come to him and he just run you into just beautiful counters. And
Yeah,
yeah, he's not really like the seek and destroy guy that the knockouts and all of the talk made. Like, I think people kind of like misappropriate his style. You know how somebody could be mislabeled? Like, he's a little bit mislabeled. He's really like a slick, athletic, big
explosive.
punch, explosive counter puncher. That's what he really kind of is. You know what I mean? Sometimes people we misappropriate styles. Like I can remember people used to like think Shane Mosley was like a slick fighter. He really wasn't. Shane Mosley was a fast, athletic, attacking fighter. And but because he was so fast and he had the nickname Sugar Shane, people like thought he was like this great boxer, but he really was an animal. He was a nasty, hard punching attacker. And what Teofimo is actually a slick, explosive counter puncher. He's really not a guy that tracks you down. So, by saying he can't, I'm just saying like what I think what style he will prefer. So I think all of those guys play into his style, but Regis is kind of slick with it, But Ifemo, man, is like he a lot younger than Regis,
Yeah,
he a lot younger than him,
25 years
and
old.
yeah, like that's a hell of a fight, man. I would have to sit down and really think about it. Only thing to scare me about Teofimo, he hot and cold. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what the hell, because the guy that showed up against Josh Taylor, he would knock George Kambosos out in the 6th round. So I don't really
Does that
know.
do you believe kind of like just looking at this type of a performance? And I know styles make fights, but Cambosos was more of that come and get you type of a style as well. Do you believe that Teal was probably not 100% in that fight?
I can see that. I can see that he probably stayed at the weight a little too long. He probably didn't get up for him. They fighters don't admit that. They all say that they train the same way for every fighter, but that's not true. You know what I mean? He probably didn't get up for the guy. He probably had some issues. I can see that. I mean, don't nobody care. You still got to deliver when you get in that ring. I
Yeah,
remember. I think the fight was on the zone. He supposed. He was having issues with Top Rank. There's probably a lot of things going on, but that's part of boxing. Like you got to clear those things out, and you still got to go, and you still got to deliver on fight night. We all going through something. Nobody cares what you're going through personally. You got to figure that out. So I think that could have been some of the issues in the fight. But Teofimo is a much better fighter than George Kambosos, man.
I
You know
agree.
what I mean? He just is. Like I'm gonna give him Kambosos full credit for winning because he definitely won the fight legitimately. It wasn't a fake win. You know what I mean? It wasn't a gift. He earned it. That was his night. But Teofimo was just much better than him, man. I know he's probably mad at himself. Like, man, how did I lose to that guy? You know
Right.
what I mean? I could see him saying that, like, man, I'm better than that. But
Mhm.
until you do it in the ring, he got one up on you, and that's just how it go. But I don't know him. I don't know what was going on in this camp, but just looking at him, he's just a better fighter. It's a shame that he got that loss on his record, but boxing is mental. You got to show up consistently every time, man, or you'll lose to a guy that you shouldn't lose to, because that really is what's keeping him from being the face of boxing, not keeping the momentum from the Lomachenko fight. And then when he finally fights, he goes and loses. You know what I mean? That's keeping him from his his rightful status. He will be probably the pound for pound number one fighter and the most popular fighter in boxing with his personality, with his dad, with all of the stuff that Top Rank did for him on Heisman Day. How many times he was knocking guys out on the Heisman, the whole charisma and everything. He set himself back 3 years, but he got a lot of it back versus Josh Taylor. Hopefully he get it everything, man, because I love watching the kid fight. That was special. That was like a special people. If you know what you're looking at, that was special, man. Special performance, man.
Absolutely. When we look at that division, everybody that has a belt has one loss, and going back on what you said, sometimes people would, they drill in their head of like, why did I lose to that individual? And I feel like Regis Prograis probably would have felt like that with Josh Taylor as well. Um, Guys like Subdan Matias, that he revenged his loss to the guy that he lost to. Rolly's a little bit different. He lost to Tank Davis, and it was obviously because he fell into a trap that, but he was winning the fight. So if
I thought he
maybe
was too. I thought he was too, man. He gets a bad rap. He was throwing great that fight, man. But let me tell you something, man. Teofimo is a lot smarter than people realize. I'm not talking about the business stuff outside the ring because I know, you know, probably they could have did that a little bit differently. But I'm just talking strictly inside the boxing ring. Teofimo was a smart guy. He said, man, Raleigh made a mistake. You know how you fight Tank? Don't commit. Don't commit. And he said that. And I said, you know what? He's right. I can't say who it is, but somebody really, really important in boxing, like very important. That's what I'm gonna say. So man, how would you have did the Raleigh fight? And I said, man, I don't like to second guess coaches, man, because it's just not fair to his coach. His coach got him there, and it was just like, but no, what would you have done? I said he was already winning. Don't commit. He was already winning. It's something about the way Raleigh punches that was bothering Tank. Somebody yelled at Tank like, "Step to him outside or go get him." He was like, "No, no, not yet." He had like a look on his face as to say, "That motherfucker is punching. That's a strong dude." He was like, let his motion to them was like, let him calm down a little bit. Let some of that fire leave. You could tell Raleigh's a really explosive puncher, but he was so like um anxious, he just loaded up and ran right into the trap. They asked Teofimo, and he said, "Just don't commit." And it like I was like, "God damn, that's exactly what I said."